myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot see.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It's Thursday night, so I'm joined by the two legends, Malcolm and John. Good evening, gents.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Good to see you. Good to see you. And transfer deadline day. 5 hours left, and Newcastle United have been quiet on incomings, but have done a few outgoings. Matty Longstaff has joined League Two side Colchester United until January on loan, despite being a surprise inclusion in the matchday squad for the clash with Liverpool last night. Martin Dubravka, as expected, has joined Manchester United.
Good luck to him.
And yeah, good luck to him. And Newcastle picking up a £2 million loan fee for that particular deal. And shrewdly, it has to be said, something maybe that the previous owner would have overlooked or not done, put a recall clause into Dubravka's loan contract, which stipulates that if Nick Pope picks up an injury, that Dubravka can be recalled in the next window, which is common sense, I think, on behalf of Newcastle, and probably points to the fact that in January they're not looking at a goalkeeper. They're certainly happy with what they have in reserve at this moment in time. No confirmation yet on Federico Fernandez's move to Elche, but that is expected to go through at some point today. And youngster Lucas de Boer, who has been training with the first team, and Eddie Howe's been very, very impressed with the young lad, has gone out on loan to Hamilton Academical on a season-long loan, and goes with the club's best wishes. And let's hope he picks up some valuable experience. As for incomings, well, the only deal to say that may come off is Harrison Ashby, who's a young right back who was at West Ham. Comes highly rated. Lots of debate over this on social media amongst a lot of these so-called in-the-know accounts. Something that's been going on for a couple of weeks, this one, and it's just whether Newcastle can get that over the line before 11 o'clock tonight. If we're living in dreamland, the only other one that people are talking about is Tielemans, but unfortunately with that one, I would say that Tielemans wants to play Champions League football and is either going to stay at Leicester, or if he does move, he's going to go to somebody who can offer him that, potentially Arsenal. But I would say our business is done, Malcolm. What's your views? Has it been a good window?
I'm just smiling though about the these websites that are trying to put over all the news that of Newcastle's ins and outs on the transfer market. The people at Newcastle, these new people, they keep their cards so close to their chest that it's almost impossible to guess. Are you finding that, John?
Yeah, I think that's true, and that's the way it ought to be. That's
absolutely, yes, it should.
You can't conduct business through in public. I mean, Tielemans, for example, he won't go anywhere. He wants, as you said, Steve, he wants Champions League. His contract, he's out of. If he waits 1 year, he can sign in January pre-sign for who he wants, and he gets all the dough instead of Leicester getting the dough.
Yes.
So if he's going to leave Leicester at this stage, it's for guaranteed Champions League, not for anything else. And my information is that anyway, he's not going anywhere because he's in the Leicester squad to play Manchester United tonight. Now, if that is true, that takes away all the time, Malcolm, to sign for anybody else with 11 o'clock deadline. If he's playing tonight against Manchester United, end of.
Yeah, I would think he's not interested in doing any business until January.
No.
And it's all in his favour.
He holds all the cards, Malcolm.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, he does. But to answer your question, Steve, I think I've been pretty happy, quite impressed, and seeing Isak for the first time actually live last night, I was immensely impressed. Immensely. What a good finisher he is. And I would think that And I thought he was very unlucky with the second one that he scored to be offside. Dear me, it was.
It must have been the hairs on his legs, Malcolm.
Yeah, it was that, wasn't it?
Hairs on his legs, yeah.
Yeah, dear me. I was looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh, come on, this really is taking it to such an nth degree. But I think that Newcastle, I think they've done some excellent business, and there was a picture on the television last night, and it was of Wood sitting on the bench, and I have never seen such a downtrodden look from a footballer as he had on his face. And he must be watching Isak, and then of course there's the other fella out injured, Wilson, and he must be thinking now, there's no chance of me getting into this at all. It's time that I go. And so too late now for this window, but I would think that if I were him, I would be going to Eddie Howe and saying, look, see what we can do in January and get me.
We're obviously talking Chris Wood here.
Yes.
I got cut off for a while. Funny enough,
otherwise he's going to become the forgotten man, John.
Well, it's interesting because Newcastle, as Tom Dixon says, have reportedly turned down a number of inquiries for Chris Wood, and the club confirmed this today that they've knocked back inquiries for him from Premier League teams.
They're wanting him on loan, though.
I was going to come in and say, no, the trouble is, Malcolm, that I was going to come in and say that, the first reaction to that is, amazement. But then you think about it and not so. I mean, they've almost been caught out by having Callum Wilson knackered and only having Wood. And they're thinking now, if we get injuries, I don't want the situation again, because I think they'll sign a young kid to play centre forward in January or at the end of the season for the future.
And in the meantime, we need Wood as cover for
leave Wood as number 3. Wood is number 3 for the moment, because belt and braces. We've all been caught out with centre forwards recently, Malcolm. So let's keep him in house as number 3, and then it'll all change, I think, next summer. But they have turned down people. And I suppose if you're in a relegation fight, you think of him at Burnley and think of him at the end of the season at Newcastle when they were unbeaten, and he might do a job. If you're in the Championship, you would think he could do a job. But he's certainly third choice here. And unfortunately for Chris, when you look at a proper centre forward like Isak last night, then you realise where he is, and you look at Wilson when he's fit.
Sure, and he realised, he sat on the bench, and you could see by his face, oh dear me, he knew that his game's up.
But I think, you see, one of the reasons for keeping him as well is for the moment, when you've got a situation like you have with Wilson, who's currently not fit. Isak was always going to pick up a dead leg last night because he hadn't had any training. He was going to last an hour and he was going to go. It could be the same on Saturday. It could last no more than an hour because he's getting no training in the meantime, is he? His only training session will be tomorrow. Today, warm down after the game. He'll get a training session tomorrow and he's in the match on Saturday. So it might be that come 65, 70, 75 minutes, he'll have to get pulled on Saturday, and Wood will go on for the last quarter of an hour. So that's why he is there and hanging around.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lots of comments coming in about the transfer window and especially about Wood. We need cover for Shelby, who's out till November, says Tom. Alan Thompson says, Malcolm and John, Wood and Murphy now realise that they're out of their depth, and it showed with their performance last night. Sutty says, loan Wood out and bring in Supermac. I'm sure he's got a pair of football boots in the cupboard. And Michael says, we shouldn't have been caught out by Wilson's injury. It's more predictable that refs trying to help the big 6 teams. knocking wood again, says Dave. Yeah, Dave, I don't knock wood on this programme because I am still sticking by him because he's been a valuable member of the squad. At times, I think he's hung out to dry. I was at Wolves midweek and I was at Anfield last night. At Wolves, I personally felt that the amount of crosses that were put into the box for Chris Wood, for a striker, Wolves were poor. There was lack of service. So Eddie Howe then takes Chris Wood off and brings Ryan Fraser on at Wolves. And Ryan Fraser then starts knocking balls that Chris Wood can, do something with into the box. I thought it was crazy. I mean, ultimately, we managed to get the draw. Last night, completely different kettle of fish. But again, he took Fraser off, he brought Wood on, and there was a lack of service for Chris Wood. Chris Wood was ploughing a lone furrow up front with what has to be said, a weakened Newcastle team, because he brought Murphy on, who by all, most accounts I've heard from people who were there, and I saw it with my own eyes, Murphy couldn't get into the game, and he's not of that standard. So I'll continue to defend Wood. He's not going to be getting us 10, 15 goals a season, but his work rate is good, and he will be there probably until the end of the season and then go. But so should Murphy. So should one or two others. That's my view. So, Dave, just to say, there is a bit of parity on the show. We're not all one-sided, and I definitely am in the Chris Wood supporters club, if you like. And I hate to hear people get on his case. Especially in the crowd, you should support your team. Whoever's wearing that shirt, you should support your team on a match day. These kind of shows are completely different. Let's talk about last night's game, Malcolm. We've touched on it with Isak. I personally thought that was probably one of the best debuts I've seen in my time from goal scorer, probably since Big Al or Les Ferdinand. So we're going back to the 90s, Malcolm, and I guess a lot of the people who watch this show will say that that's the best debut for a Newcastle player since they saw you banging a hat-trick against Liverpool at home. So, your home debut. What's he going to bring to the team? And do you think, you've said that you think Wilson might be replaced by him. I heard Eddie Howe last week say that he would consider playing the two of them together. Do you think they could make a partnership?
Oh, did you? Now, that's interesting. I didn't
He
hear that.
was asked the question, would you play Isak and Wilson together? And he says, it's certainly something I would consider, of course.
Yeah, well, I think that they would be an excellent match. I really do, because Wilson is pretty much straight through the middle, whereas Isaacson, he will drift around. He'll drift all over. He'll go wide on either flank, and so I could see that pairing working really, really well together. And of course, Isak, he'll drop off as well, and he'll just come that little bit deeper than Wilson. And so, yeah, I think it would be a very, very good pairing indeed. I was really thoroughly impressed, because it was no easy debut going and playing at Anfield. My word, that's a toughie. But I thought he was brimful of confidence in the way that he went about his game, and I just loved his attitude. I really did.
John, your thoughts about playing those two together?
Yeah, I think they would be able to play together comfortably. And
John having a bit of problems with his internet tonight. Lost him again.
Looks like it.
Yeah, he said it's not the most complimentary of photographs, that one. So we might take him out and bring him back in once he gets his internet sorted.
Yeah.
The overreaction, Malcolm, on behalf of Jurgen Klopp, it's become to be the norm now. But it showed how much Newcastle have improved and how well they played last night, didn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yes. I was more than impressed with most performances out there. I really was, and I must hold my hand up. I have been exceedingly critical over the past couple of seasons on Lascelles, but I thought that he really took on a responsibility, and I thought that he looked a much better, even different centre half to what we've seen. All too often, I have seen him wanting cover round behind him. It was almost as if he had no confidence in his own pace. But there was none of that last night. There was no cover going round, and he didn't seem bothered by it. And I thought that he looked a much better player, and perhaps it was something from the Bruce era that he couldn't get, like a shackle around his neck that he just couldn't get rid of. But he's got rid of it now, and certainly I think Eddie Howe's got to take credit on that. I'm looking forward to seeing him play again, because you look at him and he's a beast of a centre half. He's very athletic. He can be terrific in the air, and yet he was sort of diminishing in stature when he was playing under Bruce, and that seems to have changed now. He went out against Liverpool and he was prepared to really have a go with them, and I was impressed with him.
Gibbo, welcome back. Having a few internet issues. Just firstly, your views that we were asking you when you got cut off about Wilson and Isak. Could they play together?
Without a shadow of doubt, they could. And because Isak is not your through-the-middle English bulldog target centre-forward in the way that Shearer was, in the way that Ferdinand was, although those two played together, in the way that Wilson is. This guy, as Malcolm was saying when he was watching, this guy will drop off. He'll drop off and look for the ball. He'll go wide, left and right, and look for the ball and be very comfortable on the ball. He's not a goal poacher. He's a footballer. He's, in my eyes, is more of a Roberto Firmino type of centre forward, the lad that played for Liverpool last night.
Yes.
Than he is a Callum Wilson centre forward. He will link play. He'll not only just play as the last man, he will link play. And so he could quite easily, if Callum Wilson was playing a traditional through the middle centre forward, he could quite easily play for, say, Almiron or Sam Maximum if he was unfit on either flank, but coming in a bit narrower so that he's in a more finishing situation, and they would complement each other. I think one of the reasons we took him is that he's not a traditional centre forward. I couldn't see the way Wood plays and the way Wilson plays, them playing as a partnership, because they would both want to do the same thing down the centre of the pitch, etc., etc. But Isak can. And the guy's got style, I mean, if you think of what he's done, I mean, he's signed off for Real Sociedad by scoring against Barcelona in his last match for them. And in his first match for us, he signs on by scoring against Liverpool. Now, if you say goodbye by scoring against Barcelona and hello by scoring against Liverpool, that ain't bad, guys. I mean,
you can't complain at that, can you?
Oh, crikey, mate, that's top
No.
quality. In this guy, I tell you what, Mal, and you're a striker and you know much better because you're a striker. The goal he got was terrific. Wonderful finish, no touch, bang. But the second goal he got, which he was very unlucky with offside, the way Olade pulled the ball back like a matador, he sent two of their defenders into the cup. They were sliding for the block, and he just pulled the ball back. They continued into the cup and he clipped it in the back of the net. I mean, that was some finish.
It was delightful, wasn't it? And
it was wonderful.
And I really,
this is
still found it very
player.
Questionable whether he was.
Very much so. It must have, the hairs must have been standing up on his leg.
John, last night I really did feel that there was a strong bias with the officials, a serious strong bias. It was nearly all the decisions were going Liverpool's way, and that all culminated in Newcastle losing the game, because the fourth official on 90 minutes, he held up the board. Now it either said 4 or 5 minutes, and I couldn't quite remember which, but let's say it was 5.
It was 5 minutes officially on the board.
Okay, so 5 minutes is covering the whole 90 that's been played for added time. So that's it. That's done and dusted. Then explain to me how on earth the referee can allow the game to continue to the 99th minute when there's only 5 minutes being shown on the board. That means that in the 5 minutes that was played, and where he should have blown the full-time whistle, that there were 4 minutes of stoppages, or even 3 minutes of stoppages. They didn't exist. So how can he add on 3 minutes?
I mean, the whole thing for me was in last night infuriated me, because for a start, when you're playing the best sides, and I'm talking here Manchester City and Liverpool, who for the last 3 or 4 seasons have dominated English football. When we played Manchester City and produced that wonderful performance in a 3-3 draw, we had Bruno, Maxi, Callum Wilson, Shaw and Botman. That's 5 players start against Manchester City. None of those 5 started last night. That's how injured, hit we were. We had 5 of the great performers, arguably the best 5 against Man City, who weren't there last night. Yet our performance, we played exactly the same way as we always do. We pressed high, we were enthusiastic, we were front foot, not back foot. For all, we had half a team out. And the first half, we went in 1-0 up and thoroughly deserved it. The performance was magnificent.
Yes.
Now, yes, we were going to drop off a little bit in the second half because tiredness comes into the situation. We also lost Isak after an hour because of the dead leg. So that was 6 out. And the quality of the subs was not as good because the normal subs had actually started the game. Lascelles and Fraser and the normal subs had started the game. So when it come to the next layer of subs, I felt Wood and Murphy did not do themselves any good at all, and therefore we dropped off. And therefore, with the home side and the quality of Liverpool having a go at us, it was going to be tough. What did they expect? We were accused of time wasting. We were booed off by the cop. That's a compliment. What did they expect us to do? And I looked at Klopp. For me, Klopp, and I'm a great supporter of him. I think he produces lovely football sides. He's a very open personality on television, etc. I got sick of him last night. The whole hour and a half, it was like his bum had been well smacked. He spent the whole time moaning and grimacing and blaming us for.
Didn't he just?
The trouble now.
He was giving black looks all over the place.
The trouble this season is that Liverpool aren't the Liverpool they were. Outside of Bournemouth, Liverpool haven't played well in any Premier League games this year. And he thinks that, and so do the Liverpool fans, I guess, that they should win automatically. I mean, it's wonderful when a side rolls over like Bournemouth and gets beaten 0. He says how wonderful the manager is, and isn't it lovely? And they're this lovely little club. And he thinks because Newcastle went there with half a team out, we should roll over and have our tummies tickled. And we didn't. We got stuck into them. We played great stuff first half. And if there's any sort of time wasting. Is that a new thing in football? No, it isn't. It has always existed.
Absolutely.
The point is, we didn't do what Liverpool want us to do. And the only time we saw that wonderful toothy smile, where he shows all the gnashes, was on the final whistle when he eventually won. And for me, it was an absolute disgrace. Newcastle were magnificent and did not deserve what they got. They deserved to get a result out of that last night.
John, I agree with you.
And didn't deserve to do so.
For 2 decades, it was called Fergie time, where they used to get 8, 9, 10, 11 minutes added on to the 90. Well, what should we call it now? Klopp time?
Well, that's what the referee did, Malcolm. He did what Fergie used to get referees to do at Manchester United.
Yes.
Liverpool, the crowd, Klopp, and everybody else. The reason they went 9 minutes of injury time when only 5 had gone up, the referee was trying to say we were time wasting when people got cramp and had to be looked at sitting on the pitch, etc., etc. He just played. It was almost like we'll play on until you score the winner.
But do you not
because
think,
immediately they scored the winner?
But the game is becoming quite technical now, with the use of all the technology that's available. Do you not think that that when you see a fact that there was 5 minutes added time, but it went on for almost 9 minutes?
Sure.
That the authorities at the Premier League or at the FA or wherever, that they should be looking at this and saying, well, hold on, we need an explanation. So they should be calling the referee and the 2 linesmen in and saying, explain to us how five added minutes suddenly become 9, because it's all on television. You can see it all.
What they're saying off the record, Malcolm, what they're saying off the record is that they warned the Newcastle players when they went down, etc., that they were time wasting and would add time on for the time wasting. But, that's playing to the Liverpool and the crowd and the whole situation. I mean, I found it absolutely disgusting.
To a side that doesn't time waste.
Yes, well, I was going to say, is this something that we've just invented this season?
Well, precisely. Yeah.
I think not at all. And by the way, did we time waste in the first half?
If everybody is time wasting, for heaven's sake, then why isn't every game going to 100 minutes?
Well, it would if Liverpool needed it to get the winner.
Yeah, precisely, John, and that's exactly what I think.
Yeah, it's certainly going to cause debate. The VAR did review the offside. Blue Rhythm boy Mike Dean came out and explained that it came down to the shadows on the pitch. Bizarre. Because
the shadow was offside?
The shadows on the pitch proved it. That was Mike Dean's explanation. Unbelievable. And
what about
if we just rewind to Manchester United versus Liverpool, Rashford had an identical offside called, and that goal, of course, was given. So many would feel as if it's balancing it out for the cartel. It's easy to feel like that, isn't it?
But I mean, we've got to feel aggrieved because that with half a team, and we forget, and it's not. Newcastle was half a team. Bruno out, Maxi out, Wilson out, Shaw out, Botman out, and Isaac gone after an hour. That is half a team. And we performed like that with half a team and then get it taken off us at the end. Yes, we could have defended the corner better. That goes without saying. But we defended magnificently until then. We had done terrifically. We'd earned our point. And if the Isak goal had been given, and for me it could easily have been given,
He's paused again. He's not having a very good night tonight. Something must be wrong in the posh part of Newcastle with the internet. We're going to give a shout out to the sponsors, Skips and Bins. Big thank you to Scott and the lads. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, independent funeral directors. And they are based on 304 Old Durham Road, Gateshead. Telephone 0191 478 2730. Email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or go to the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensaries, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. And thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickys.co.uk or by telephone on 01768 210102. Thanks to Away Day Clothing as well, a new website coming soon. And thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wales and Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. If you want to subscribe to the show, hit the NUFC Matters logo in the bottom right-hand corner and you can subscribe for free. Hit the thumb up under the video to like the video and click share to share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify and other podcast providers. Usually goes up 7 to 10 hours now after the podcast has gone out on YouTube. If you want to join NUFC Matters, click join underneath the video. Or if you want a little bit more, you can go to the website at NUFCmatters.com and click membership, or use your smartphone and use the QR code to take you straight there. What do you get if you do it that way? Well, you get a cup, a pen, a membership card and a scarf, and entry into the monthly draw. Well worth going in and getting involved. And if you're a subscriber, don't forget, email John at nufcmatters.com and he will post you out your free car sticker. We also support the food bank on this show. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is the matchday bucket. Make sure you go there and make a deposit virtually. The guys and girls from the food bank will be outside St James's Park opposite Shearers as well on match day against Crystal Palace on Saturday. So if you want to go across and make a food donation, please pop over on Saturday. Malcolm and I will be at the Dog and Parrot as usual. 12:45 we will be going live, and after the game at approximately 6:30 to 6:45, depending on the traffic. But always well worth you coming along to see me and Mal. It is free entry and kids are welcome, and the bar does food and it does good drink, and there's always good crack in there as well. A bit of a plug now for a project I'm doing, A New Breed of Criminal, the film that we are shooting on Tyneside, a British independent film with up-and-coming Geordie actors and a few famous faces, more to be announced over the course of the next couple of months. We have set an Indiegogo page up for people to get involved. You might want to pre-order a copy of the DVD, or you might just want to make a donation to wish us well with the project. But I have pinned it in the chat. Click it, go to the Indiegogo page. If you can help us, please do. And don't forget the score predictor. John and Joe announced that the score predictor prize this season would be £500 plus a t-shirt and a trophy. The runner-up would get £100 plus a t-shirt, and the monthly winner will get £20 each month and a t-shirt. So if you want to get involved in that, again, go to the website nufcmatters.com and you will be able to find the information you need there. Now I'm going to try and bring John back in. Are you there, John?
I am indeed. I'm looking well on the photograph, but I'm here. Can you,
John? That's the best you've looked since we started these shows.
I know. Well, last night's referee would do me for time wasting, but
I was
there you go.
Steve, that book, A New Type of Criminal, does it list last night's referee?
Mm-hmm. It's based on his life story. We have had a couple of questions in. Blue Rhythm Boy Mal says, thoughts on Willock? I feel there's a player in there. Glad we didn't get Paqueta, as it will allow Willock to develop. Paqueta, of course, Brazilian international, gone to West Ham, played last night. Newcastle and Willock. I've got to be honest, Mal, before I'll give you time to digest the question. I watched him last night. I turned to the people who I was at the match with, and I thought that was the best he played in a while. Sometimes his game it just seems to bypass him games sometimes. But other times he gets involved. Last night, it was a team effort. That first half, I've never seen Newcastle dominate like they did in that first half at Anfield. Overall, of course, the stats back Liverpool up. But I thought it was better. But I tell you my problem with him, Mal. I think he struggles with fitness. He doesn't seem to be able to last 90 minutes.
Yeah, possibly. He's not got that punch and timing that he had when he was on loan, and his timing of coming into the box late for when the ball was being knocked down and coming onto that and finishing, that was terrific. We haven't seen that since he signed a contract with Newcastle, and so I do feel that he needs to get some of that back into his game. At the moment, I'm fully aware of what you've just said. I can't disagree with you at all. I think that I really do feel that he knows for himself that he's struggling to find that form that just gives him that little bit of a killer instinct. And he's missing that at the moment, missing it badly.
John, what's your thoughts on Willock?
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear what you both say, because the jury's out to a great extent. And I look at that midfield. Normally, Bruno and Joe Linton are nailed on, so it's who's going to be the third midfield player. Bruno's now out of it, so you've got Longstaff in there with Willock. You sometimes see a loose ball from either of them and you think, oh dear. Then you see the ball Longstaff give for Isak's goal, which was absolutely terrific ball.
Wasn't it, John? It was
a terrific ball.
It was beautiful.
And yet I look at that and I think, and I know I'm a little bit biased, but you know what? Maybe Crystal Palace would be the right match. I would like to see Elliot Anderson get a start. I think the kid's got a real chance. Now, whether that would be for Willock or whether it would be for Longstaff would depend, because it may have to be for Willock. That would be the trouble, because Longstaff is the more natural sitter to it, because Anderson isn't. He goes on. But I would like to see the kid, I think he's got a real chance in life. I think that he's a man instead of a boy. He went away to Bristol Rovers as a boy and come back a man. And I think he's got a real chance. And I've just got a feeling that while we're midfield short through Bruno not being there, if he'd started at Liverpool against that quality, even with their midfield problems, it would have been a big ask. Palace might suit him more. Just a feeling. It may not happen. It probably won't happen. But I would like to see Elliot Anderson given a go.
Yes, I understand that, John. I would like to see 2 or 3 of the injured players back in the side, so that it is a stronger side for him to join and play within. I always feel when you put a youngster in, that you need to give him the best possible chance to just get the whole feel of things and get into his stride in that particular game, and it needs a number of players around him. And I think get Bruno back in the side, have Botman back in the side, and ensure that Isak's up front. And then fine. Yes, I would then happily put him in the side. But when you've got, and we were talking about it a bit earlier on, but when you've got a number of guys who were on the bench the week before, actually starting in the side, that's not the time to put a young lad in. Give him the best possible chance with the best players around him.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree with you, mate, 100%. But the dog and parrot is not a gay bar, but it is in what you would call the pink triangle. It is just on the outskirts of it. It's not a sports bar either. It's probably a student's bar. Is probably the best way to describe it. But on a match day, there are no students in pre-match. It's a great.
Have I been going to the wrong place, Steve?
No, you've been going to the right place. It's a really good. It is a really good bar, Malcolm, isn't it? I mean, we found ourselves in some interesting places over the last few years. But you know what? The dog and parrot has been fantastic, hasn't it? Tommy and the staff really do look after us.
Yeah, and it's a great set of people in there. You know, both behind the business and as customers.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people asking if I'm going to go on and do a transfer deadline show. I can't. I'm out working with Steve Howie tonight. We're doing a talk-in. So, no, I can't do that, I'm afraid. John, while you're here, I've been sent a question by text message by a good friend of mine called Terence Ross. He wants to know if he can still get a copy of the Gibbo files in hardback. And if he can, he's up on Saturday for the match, and he could come to the Pumphrey's and meet you to buy one off you if you've still got one.
Well, that's a terrific question, and God bless him for it. What I have got here is a softback copy of Gibbo files, and I can bring that down to Pumphrey's if you would like me to do that.
Right, okay. Terence, let us know by text message. I know you watched the show. If the paperback version
you would email me on that one.
I'll let you know, John. Down. Yes. You still haven't entered the world of mobile, sadly. I know that much. Malcolm, the return would like to know: do you think Haaland can break Shearer's goal scoring record? I mean, one thing at a time. He's only just arrived. He scored back-to-back hat-tricks.
200 odd goals or something. What, this season or this season and next season?
I mean, Marley's got off to a hell of a start, mate. I mean, we're complimenting Isak tonight, but Haaland, I mean, wow, what a player he looks.
Yeah, he makes it look so easy. A very difficult job, and he does really make it easy. He's there at the right place, seemingly all of the time. Will he break Shearer's record? The thing is that it does take time to break that kind of record. Is Haaland going to stay at Manchester City for that amount of time? You know, it's going to need 6 years, 7 years, maybe, and perhaps a bit more. So foreign players have a tendency to get towards the end of their contract and move on. So I'm not sure whether he will break Shearer's record or not. You know, and his next move will probably be back abroad somewhere in Europe.
Yeah. What did you think of Longstaff's performance last night, says Diamond? I mean, personally, he had a mixed bag last night. I mean, the horrendous ball that he gave away, it's something that he does on a regular basis, I'm afraid. Kieran Trippier is guilty of it at times, giving a ball away and putting us under pressure.
Yeah.
But that ball he put through for Isak was
divine, wasn't it?
Brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely was. That all the Liverpool players, they were all going the wrong way. And he just slotted it between them. Oh, fabulous. And the finish was absolutely delightful. You know, and with that having happened last night, that Isak, he will be looking for Sean Longstaff time and again from here on, say, come on, not me that type of ball. He will be making those kind of runs because he knows now that Longstaff, he recognises the run for what it is and how to feed it. And that's important. That's, you know, I used to have that kind of understanding with Terry Hibbett. And so I think that there was something born last night between those two players. Fabulous run, great ball, wonderful finish, and it was one of those where the two they just had that understanding of each other, and it'll get stronger. It will get stronger if it's given the chance.
Yeah, no, of course it will, 100%. John, I will let you know if I get a response from Terence before the end of the show. I want to start looking at the match of the weekend because my chauffeur has arrived for tonight's event, so I don't want to keep him waiting. Steve, how he often refers to himself as my chauffeur when we do these events because I don't drive, so Steve comes and picks me up, which it's always a bit of a giggle. And he's turned up early, and he's saying it's no problem. It's he's doffing his cap to us as we speak. But Newcastle United take on Crystal Palace at home this coming Saturday. One of my favourite old-fashioned kickoffs, 3:00 on a Saturday. The game is sold out, which is the norm these days. As I mentioned earlier, Malcolm will be on at the Dog and Parrot 12:45 and round about 6:30 after the game at the Dog and Parrot. And John will be at Pumphrey's around about 12:15 onwards with John Anderson. So if you're at the bottom end of town, pop along and see John. If you're at the top end of the town, come along and see me and Malcolm. So should be a good time had by all of both of those bars. Okay, referee is Michael Salisbury. This is his second game involving Newcastle. The referee from Preston last took charge of Newcastle's game against Cambridge in the FA Cup, a game best forgotten. VAR, which has been up and down for us this season, is Lee Mason. This is a quick return to the Newcastle match for Mason, who was manning the cameras at Molineux last Sunday and did us a favour, it has to be said. I've mentioned as well the food bank are outside St James's Park, so make sure you pop over and see them on the day. Too early at this moment in time to talk team news and who is available. Eddie Howe, of course, will be doing his press conference in due course. But chance to bounce back, Malcolm, and show that last night wasn't just a one-off, and that Newcastle can put the same effort in at home and come away with a win, hopefully.
Yeah, it is a chance, just to put it behind you, because it must have left a bad taste with the manager, the coaches, all of the players, and so when you've got that bitter taste in your mouth, you want to get into the next game and absolutely make up for it. And so I'm looking forward to that. If Newcastle can go on and take on Manchester City in the way that they have done, and Liverpool in the way that they did last night, Newcastle have nothing to fear from anybody. Even though, as you said earlier in the programme, Steve, that it was half a reserve side that started last night, or equivalent of, and so I am just thoroughly looking forward to seeing Newcastle get out on the pitch and look to outplay Crystal Palace, which I think that they are perfectly capable of doing. And Palace struggled to score a bit, and so that should be a confidence boost for Newcastle in getting out there, and if they can go 1-0 ahead against Liverpool away from home, they can go 1-0 up against anybody. But it was such a shame that the second Isak goal was disallowed last night, and I would impress upon the Newcastle side that going 1-0 up is great, but going up 2-0 is more important, because that really, really does seriously give the opposition a problem. Whereas when it's at 1-0, it's tight, it's close, and the opposition always feel that they've got a chance to get back into the game. And so, what I would like to see is Newcastle stick goals into the net, and give themselves a good lead. What we haven't really seen so far this season is Newcastle get a couple of goals, except against Manchester City, get a couple of goals ahead, and then really start to play. And I think that the ability is in that side. We saw it last night. We've seen it in other games this season so far. And even when they're not playing well, like the Wolves match, that they always look to stay in the game. And St. Maximin, come on, he was having an absolute nightmare, but then he finishes up scoring a terrific goal. Well, that's the way to get your game turned round, for heaven's sake. I'm looking forward to Crystal Palace match on Saturday. I'm looking forward to seeing Newcastle playing with the same spirit, with the same form as I saw them playing against Liverpool last night. And I don't think that Crystal Palace, as good a footballing side as they are, I don't think that they will be able to live with Newcastle.
Prediction from you, Mal?
I'm going to go for Palace struggle to score, and so I'm going to go for Newcastle to win by those 2 goals.
Okay, John?
Yeah, we've got to get back to winning ways. We've got to win this game. We've been terrific all season, but the bottom line is that out of 5 league games, we've only won 1. That was the opening day against Nottingham Forest, because we've had a very difficult fixture list. We've drawn with Wolves away, we've drawn with Brighton away. We should have drawn with Liverpool away. We've got a point off Man City, fabulous, but it's 1 win out of 5. We have to get back to 3 points. 3 points are massive. This is the opportunity to get 3 points. Crystal Palace are the sort of side I don't like playing again, because you don't know what you're going to get. They're difficult, they're hard. What will determine perhaps the way the game flows is who plays, because we had 5 out last night. We did ever so well. We know that Wilson isn't going to play. I don't think Bruno will play. I think there's a reasonable chance that Maxi mightn't start. But I thought Fraser did terrific last night in his work rate, in standing in. He got back and front, back and front, back and front. We missed Bruno of that. There's no question whatsoever. But we've got to get back to winning ways. Yes, Palace will make it difficult, but we have got to beat Palace on Saturday, and then in a couple of months' time, we've got to beat them again when they come back up here in the League Cup to keep Wembley alive. That is our immediate targets. We must win these 2 games. I think we will win this game on Saturday. I've already gone on record as saying it'll be 2-0, so I can't make it any other score. It's exactly the score Malcolm's already taken, but I've already said it's 2-0, so why I'm going to then say 2-1 or 3-0 is difficult. But regardless of whether it's 2-0 or 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-1, the important thing is that we win. And I believe that we will win. And I think it's become necessary, especially after what happened last night. Let's get back to 3 points. This is an opportunity. It's not a gift. They'll make it tough. It's not a gift, but it's an opportunity. And Newcastle are good enough to take that opportunity. I think they will.
2-0 for me as well, chaps. It's a clean sweep on the 2-0s. I think we're all agreed. I've got to get off. Time Out Surf Cafe is sold out tonight. Me and Steve Howie. I'll be back. I will be back tomorrow night, 5:30 with the 3 amigos. 2 hours taking you into the weekend. But for now, it's a big thank you to Supermac. Big thank you to John, and Terence Ross will have the book. He will see you at Pumphrey's, John. So make sure you take it, please.
Deal done.
All right. Enjoy it at the Surf Club tonight.
Cheers. Take care.
To the place. My best to Steve.
Okay.
Take care, guys.